In this lesson, we're going to write a sonnet. Quick reminder from last lesson, a Shakespearean sonnet contains 14 lines. It should be written in iambic pentameter. It needs an octet and a sestet, and it should ideally have a volta. So a volta, remember, was a change in train of thought. So a change in mood, a change in time perhaps, but a shift in the direction of thought. One other thing that we haven't yet talked about is the rhyme scheme that is required for a sonnet to be a true sonnet. Now, a Shakespearean sonnet follows this rhyme scheme. To identify a rhyme scheme, what you have to do is look at the word at the end of each line of a poem, and you can match up those words into pairs, and that pair is then allocated a letter from the alphabet. So you start with A, and then you go on as far as you need to go. But each time you have a new word, if there isn't a word that matches it that's gone before, then you start with a new letter. So if we have a look at this sonnet, this is Sonnet 130. This begins, "My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun." So that's our very first ending word, that word sun. So that's our A rhyme. That's going to be A. So what we need to do now is look out for any other words that rhyme with sun. So let's have a look at the second line. "Coral is far more red than her lips red." So does sun rhyme with red? No. Therefore, rather than putting an A next to red, because it doesn't fit in the A category with sun, we put B. So now we've got two rhyme schemes started. A is any word that rhymes with sun, and B's will go next to any word that rhymes with red. So then we go to the third line. "If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun." Ooh, now we've got sun, dun, so we can put a letter A next to dun. And then the next line, "If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head." There we've got a rhyme with red, so we can put a B. Now if you continue down and just look at the last words of each line, we've then got white. Now the reason white has a C next to it is because there is no preceding word at the end of any of the first four lines that rhymes with white, so we start a new scheme. So A, B, white cheeks delight reeks, C, D, C, D. No sound go ground, E, F, rare compare. Now the last two lines you'll notice are what we call a rhyming couplet. So this is two lines where the end word rhymes, and a sonnet will always end with a rhyming couplet. So the previous lines have had alternating rhymes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G. G, G finishes off the sonnet. So that's the rhyme scheme we need to recreate. So I would like you to write a sonnet about someone that you love. Now this could be someone in your family, it could be somebody famous, it could be one of your friends, it could be an animal, a pet, it could be anything at all. So write a sonnet about someone or something that you love. Now a really good way of writing anything that rhymes is to start with those end words. So start with the words that you're going to have at the end of your lines, because then you can just build your poem around it. So collect some words together that relate to this person or thing that you love. So I've decided to write about my mum. So here on the second bullet point are some words that I think of when I think of my mum. So I've got smile, sings, roses, dinner, and kind. So these are the words I think about when I think about my mum. Then what you do, once you've got your words that relate to your person, you can straight away start thinking about rhymes for those words. So words that rhyme with smile, I've got in the third bullet point there, mile, while, trial, and denial. So I've got a few options there. For sings, I've got rings, things and brings. For roses, roses is a harder one, so I've got noses and I've got poses, but then I thought maybe what I might need to do is make that a singular rose. So then I've thought about rhymes, words that will rhyme with rose. So I've got throws and suppose. So if there's a word that you struggle to rhyme, think about making it a singular, or think about maybe making it a verb. So put an ing or an ed on the end of it. Then I've got dinner, so I've got winner, and then I've done the rhyme in her. So dinner, in her, dinner, in her. So that is something else you could try. Sometimes if there's just one syllable that rhymes, you can put together two words. And then finally for kind, I've got mind, unwind and find. So I've got a collection of rhyming words now. So my job next is to put those into some sort of order at the end of my lines, and then I can fill in the rest with my poem. So this will look a bit weird, but this is how you can make iambic pentameter make sense for you and include your rhymes. So at the end of each line, look, you'll see that I've put 4 of my words. So I've got smile, rose, while, and then I've chosen suppose to rhyme with rose. So what that means is, for the first line, we know that iambic pentameter contains 5 iambs, remember, and each iamb has an unstressed and a stressed syllable. So each iamb is da-dum, unstressed, da, stressed, dum, da-dum. So iambic pentameter, because it's pentameter, remember, there are 5, so it's da-dum, 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 da-dum. Now, what you can do, because you know the last word, of your line, you can write it out almost like this and say da-dum, 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 da smile, da-dum, 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 da rose, da-dum, 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 da while, da-dum, 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 suppose. Oh, I missed a da-dum there. But, so do you see what I've done? The last stressed syllable, the last dum on the first 3 lines can be replaced with my word, because I know that's the word I'm going to end my sentence on, and I already know that they rhyme. The last line, look, da-dum, 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 suppose. That one, because suppose, it's already an I am. It's got unstressed, stressed. Suppose. So that counts as a da-dum, suppose, da-dum. So the next job, and this takes a little bit longer to do, is fill in all the other da-dums with the words that you want to say. Now, the best tip I can give you here is think about that person carefully in your mind. Really hold them in your mind, because the more you think about them, the easier it will become to actually write a line of poetry about them. So my lines end up like this. Da-dum, 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 da smile becomes, my mum has wisdom hidden in her smile. It blooms from time to time just like a rose. She looks at me and waits a little while, until I figure things out, I suppose. So all I've done, I've taken a little bit of time and I've filled in those lines with the right number of syllables, the right number of da-dums, and I have made 4 lines of iambic pentameter with the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B. So you have a go with that part. So gather together your words about your person, find rhyming words for those words, and then have a go at writing out the iambs and then filling in the syllables with your actual words. So here's my final sonnet. My mum has wisdom hidden in her smile. It blooms from time to time, just like a rose. She looks at me and waits a little while, until I figure things out, I suppose. She never tells me what to do or think, but gets me to help her make the dinner. And by the time we're done, I've made a link, as if there is a magic wand within her. My mum is gentle, warm, and very kind. She loves to play the radio and sing. When she does, My childhood comes to mind. Memories of Sunday ironing, with music blaring louder than the TV. Nowadays it's quiet, just her and me. So what I've done there is I've followed my rhyme scheme from earlier on. So I've got A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and then at the end, G, G, TV and me, G, G. Now, if you remember from last lesson, the volta, we talked about having a shift in mood. Normally the volta happens at the start of the sestet, so the start of the last 6 lines. I would argue that I haven't really got a volta in here. What does happen is at the very end, on the last line, there's kind of a shift, I would say, because it hints at the idea of it's just her and me now, rather than anybody else. So I haven't really got a volta in there, but what you can try and do is look at the shift in mood at the end of my sonnet and see if you can introduce that in yours, some sort of shift in direction of thought or mood. See if you can introduce that in this last section. So where it says, my mum is gentle, warm and very kind, that's about the time when you need to start thinking about doing that volta, about changing your perspective. There's various ways you could do that. It might be that you start off explaining one thing about somebody and then you suddenly shift to look at them a different way. Maybe you could start off being seemingly critical of the person and then you swing round and say, but actually, I think they're amazing. So there's different ways that you can apply a volta. But that's your task for today's lesson, is to try your best at writing your own sonnet. Now, as a minimum, I'd like you to have a go at writing a 14-line poem. And then your other criteria, if you're able to reach them, is to have the rhyme scheme, to have iambic pentameter, and to try and include a volta. Some of you might be able to do all of them. Some of you might be able to do 1 or 2 of the sonnet ingredients. But try your best, and more than anything, as I said before, really think carefully about that person. And the more you think about them, the more clear your poem will become, because you'll be able to think of all kinds of things to say about them. Okay, enjoy, and we look forward to reading your sonnets.